Welcome back to Break Free from the BS, the podcast that promises to leave you either challenged, changed, or at the very least entertained. And this episode is a little bit delayed. And by a little bit, I mean 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 hours delayed because I'm an idiot. And I say that with love. I was basically sat on the sofa this morning with my fella, and he was like, "Oh, what's this week's podcast episode about?" I was like, "Oh, I'm toying between a couple of subjects. Don't really know yet. Recording it tonight, obviously, to get it out tomorrow. Classic. Moved house last weekend. Been deep in sorting all of that out since then." And he's like, "Oh, you're releasing it on Saturday this week?" And I was like, "No, Friday." And he's like, "Louise, it's Friday today, mate." It's Friday, hun. So yeah, here it is. It cracked me up. It cracked me up. So yeah, sorry if you actually are someone that notices when I put this out every Friday morning. It is a little bit delayed because I thought it was Thursday today. It is in fact Friday. This is what happens when I'm off work, right? I took the week off work to try and settle into the new house a bit. And I just lose all sense of time. But I actually love that. I don't know about you, but when I go on holiday, I absolutely rate having no idea what day, time, none of it. I just have no idea what is going on, just dilly-dallying through life. And that's kind of where I've been at this week. So I just completely did not realise that it was Friday today. So obviously, I'm not going to let you down and not put anything out. So I'm jumping on to do one just a little bit later. So this is probably going to hit your ears. I don't know if it's nearly 6 o'clock now, maybe 9, but it will be today. So I can still say I've done one every single Friday and not dropped the ball. I think that counts. I'm also really hoping that my sound is okay because I'm in my new flat. There's definitely far less echo. But there is also a fair in town that is not that far from me, and I can hear the of the fairground rides going off. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to clean that up a bit in post, or if it might just be that my mic doesn't pick it up. So fingers crossed, because this is going to be my new recording spot going forward. And I'm also very excited to say that my aim in this place is to get it set up so that I can also have some cheeky guests, of which I have a few already lined up for you that are going to be so fucking good, and you're going to get loads from them. So I'm really excited about that, because that is my aim of this podcast, is to not only talk about subjects that I can give experience and knowledge on, but also bring people on that have different levels of knowledge, experience in a wider range of subjects than I have access to currently, to help you break free from all the bullshit. That is the plan. So, today's subject, and this actually feels a little bit linked to the whole dilly-dallying on holiday and not knowing what day or time it is, because fucking hell do we love measurement as human beings now. Do we love to measure things? And it's funny because I had this on my list subject for quite a while, and I've just sort of picked other things before it. I really go with the flow when I record this. I kind of look at my list of things. Sometimes I already have an idea of what I want to talk about, so I don't even need to refer to my little list of ideas. And I had why on earth are we measuring things so deeply all of the time on this list for a long time. And then that whole Stephen Bartlett shabacle kicked off, where he was like talking about, like maxing his life, and had a couple of glasses of wine and lost his shit for like a week. I'm sure you saw it. And it feels really in keeping with this subject that I want to talk about. And as I say, when I go on holiday and I got no idea what day it is, it feels in line with that, right? In the sense of, I actually really enjoy living a life now where I don't measure every single little part of it. I don't know about you. I went through a phase of it's like just measuring everything. I was measuring my steps. I was measuring the food that I put into my body. I was measuring my sleep. Honestly, if you could measure it, I was measuring it, basically. And it did not help me form a better relationship with my mind and my body. It did not make me feel better about what I was achieving. Like at one point, and I think I mentioned this on a previous pod episode, at one point, I had such a good streak on my Apple Watch. of closing my 3 rings every day, which was movement, standing, and exercise, right? Which, yeah, on surface level, all sound like really good things to be making sure you're doing every day. Totally agree. But the issue is when you start referring to a number, a streak, a piece of machinery over your own intuition, you will fuck yourself. There were days where I was so unwell, but I was so terrified of losing that streak that I would push through. I would go and walk that 10,000 steps. I would do that workout, yada, 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 to keep that streak. And guess what? I just got to the point where I was either so injured or so burnt out that in the end I dropped the ball. And then guess what happens? If you're someone whose entire self worth and ego is linked to performance and numbers, when you can't meet the bar that you set for yourself as such a tight standard, you then fully shit out. You just spit out, mate. And then you can end up forming really unhealthy habits in place of what you deem to be healthy habits. So I am really proud to say that I now live a life where I feel really in tune with my body and my intuition. And I don't feel the need to measure every little thing. That doesn't mean that every now and then I'm like, oh, we've done loads of walking today. I wonder how many steps we've done. It's like a fun little chat and game. And then you pull it up and you're like, fucking hell, we've done 17,000 steps. Isn't that insane? Like, it's cool. I'm not saying I'm like completely adverse to knowing potentially some sort of info, but I already knew that I'd walked an absolute mission before looking at that, right? It's not why I've walked that. I just happened to have walked it and then gone, I wonder how many that is. Oh, lol, look at that. Whereas a previous version of me would have been like, you cannot rest until you have done those 10,000 steps. At one point, I had plantar fasciitis in my foot from running and should absolutely have been resting, but was just like, can't stop the walking streak. Guess what? Until I absolutely accepted that I had to do that, my plantar fasciitis was just getting worse and worse and worse. So, yeah, it's this. I want to really encourage you to come home to yourself, come home to your body. First of all, check in with, is this something that I'm doing for me? Why am I doing this thing? Is it just because it's expected of me? I only think that outside motivation carries you so far, unless you are doing something with like love and devotion to it because you want to do it. I think it's a bit of a dangerous game doing anything for outside validation or for outside reasons that, and it even might just be that you don't understand those reasons yet. Like there might be some stuff you're doing for health reasons just because you've been told they're healthy, but you don't actually understand why they're healthy, what they're doing for your body. So you can't connect to like that part of your body to understand that more and feel it in your body. Like food, when I tell you I have tried every single freaking diet known to mankind. And it's so funny because I actually had a friend send me a voice note about this because she had a health condition that was undiagnosed, actually, like myself, very similar lines, a hormonal one. And like me, tried every single diet that every single person told me to try, and doctors and yada, 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 yada. Nothing worked, right? You know what worked? Listening to my freaking body. Listening to my body when I eat food, how do I feel after? When I eat food, how fueled do I feel after? Do I get inflammation pain after eating that food? Like really just starting to listen to my body and also its hunger signals. So at certain times of the month, I can fast with ease. And it's not because I am actively trying to fast, it's because my body doesn't need the fuel that it normally needs or needs at certain times of my month, right? I could just easily tamp the water and I'm like, oh, it's like 7 o'clock and I'm not eating anything yet. Do I feel hungry? Yeah, cool. I'm gonna have some dinner. But it's not that I've actively chosen to do that. There are other parts of the month where if I go 3 hours without food, I feel dizzy. I am absolutely fucking ravenous. I have no energy. So if I was following outside advice on how many calories I should be eating each day of the month that don't take into account a woman's cycle, especially a woman's cycle that has a hormone condition, I don't feel right. I don't feel well fueled. I don't feel able to go and live my life creatively, to go and spend time with my friends. You know, only I know what that feels like. And it's a challenge because if you are someone that is struggling with self image, for example, like my entire life, I was trying to make myself smaller. Now, my absolute purpose is just to be happy, healthy in the body that I'm in. And it's funny because now when I have like a couple of weeks maybe where I'm not eating the sort of foods that I actually like to eat now because they make my body feel good and feel fueled. I'm a whole food gal. I love cooking from scratch. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Love eating out as well, but like in nice places that do decent home, home cooked food. But sometimes life doesn't work like that. And over the last couple of weeks, I have been burning it at both ends because I've needed to. I've been in a phase of my life where it's required me to set the fuck up in energy and really expend and use an awful lot of energy and time. And people are like, you should always make, and I've actually been that person, you should always make space for your pillars. Sometimes life is life, hun. Sometimes life is going to come along and go, I need all of you right now. And I've been really aware that when I have had the spare time, right, make some decent food. But sometimes it has been, oh my God, it's nearly 10 o'clock at night. I'm starving. I need some food. I've only got the time to just shove like a Tesco's pasta right in the oven. And a previous version of me would have been like, oh my God, like it's so many calories in one little tray and it's a UPF and I would not have been able to eat it, right? Or I would have shit on myself for eating it. Current version of me is like, your body needs fuel right now. You don't have the time or the energy to make some. Be it, be it so right now. You know that you will return. This is why you're building this beautiful kitchen because you are going to return to making all of your wonderful foods from scrap and all of these lovely ferments that you want to make. It's all going to be what they're waiting for you, hun. It's just one little tray of pasta. It's okay. And I'm so much more flexible with how I live my life now. And I'm so much happier. I'm so much happier. And it's funny because my body also, when that happens for a couple of weeks, does start to feel a bit like, ugh, and I go, oh my God, hun, I know, I'm so sorry. I've really not been prioritizing you in the way that I like to. We are going to be back on track real soon. Hang in there. And I know why I'm feeling a bit like sore in my joints because there's inflammation. And if I was to continue doing that, even when my time situation has improved, like this week, I've had more times. I've cooked at home more, and I'm starting to return back to my little balance. If I continued to eat the shit food when I know actually I've now got the time to do it, I'm just choosing suffering, right? And you've basically got to trust yourself that every now and then, that thing that you are intuitively measuring or choosing, when you stray from that, your body will go, come on, hun, back on path, this way. And you just got to listen to it. Okay. And just like you've got to ask for forgiveness from your body when actually sometimes you are coming off of that path. But that's such a different place to be in, a place of forgiveness and love and life's, yeah, spirals and peaks and troughs. That's such a different place to be in than this militant, always measuring. Because I truly believe that that is you being able to be like, I haven't put a toe wrong on this in 3 years. I don't, I'd be really interested to hear from you guys on if you've had experiences of this and also what drives that. Because certainly for me, what was driving though that commitment to sometimes the wildest diets was sheer desperation and sheer hatred for my own body. I did not like myself and I was willing to do anything to get away from myself. And it was only upon realizing that I am with me for the rest of my life. In fact, my relationship with myself is the only constant in my life. Everything else around me will change. And I will change, but I'm going to be there with me. So it was only when I realized that and I started to come home to myself and realize that as much as there is a wealth of knowledge in the world, just like right now, you're sat listening to a podcast that you hope to gain something from. Oh, we've got a barking dog outside. Thing is, I can't close all the windows. We've got a heat wave right now in the UK, and I don't want to be a broken record because we all know it's hot as balls if you live here. I'm gonna be honest, I'm sat in just pants. I'm sat in just pants recording this, guys, because it's fucking hot as balls. So I can't close the windows as well. So if there is a bit of background noise, you're just gonna have to give me some forgiveness. That's all. Just a little bit of forgiveness. Um, shit, I can't remember the thought that I was just on track now. 1 minute. So, as much as there is this wealth of knowledge in the world on any subject you can think of, someone is going to have an opinion on how you should be doing it, how much you should be eating, how much you should be walking, how much you should be reading, how much you should be spending time with friends, how much, or literally everything, someone is going to have an opinion. When you start to truly understand and realize the only person that you need to please and that needs to be satisfied with the life that you're living and how you feel in your body and how your body feels in general and how your mind feels and how does it feel to be you in your life. The only person that needs to feel aligned with anything, what you choose as a career, how you choose to spend your time, is you. And there's a very strong guiding voice inside of you that once you come home to yourself, once you stop numbing shit out, once you start listening to yourself, that voice is going to be very clear on what it needs to thrive, what you need to put down, what you need to step away from. All you've got to do is listen to it. All you've got to do is listen to it. And I am not saying that's an easy process. It's taken years for me, trust me. But now I am there with me. Now I truly am friends with my inner world and my inner guidance. I feel very comfortable with how I navigate my life now. I feel very comfortable with how I spend my time. I feel very comfortable with how I feel my body. And I'm also comfortable with not being perfect. I'm really comfortable with not being perfect. And I now know that life is a constant state of remembrance and then forgetting, and then remembering and forgetting, and remembering and forgetting. Even something simple as like doom scrolling, right? I remember, I'm like, oh my God, this makes me feel like shit. If I spend more than my little allotted time each day where I go on, I engage with my community, I share my art, I share my creations, I share my thoughts. If I slip into every little bit of time I get, scrolly, 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 I fucking feel it. I feel it so much. Within literally a week or so, I start to feel like shit. And I go, what is that? Something's out of balance. And usually, you're like, oh, I'm spending a bit too much time scrolling. Sometimes it does take for you to actually stop and be like, okay, I'm feeling out of balance. I'm feeling lethargic. I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling uninspired. I'm feeling whatever it is for you, right? Sit, understand, how am I feeling it? I'm feeling lethargic in my body. Okay. Why is that? I haven't eaten the foods that I like to eat recently. I've spent a lot of time being, you know, active and not fueling my body well. Oh, I'm feeling sluggish in my mind. I've been spending a lot of time doom scroll. Whatever it is, you just got to figure out that root cause and then go, okay, now where does the balance sit for me? Don't listen to outside noise. Where does it sit for you? Is it that if you eat 80% whole food, you feel fine? You can go out with your friends, you can have some food out, you can have some drinks out, you can not have to worry about where that's coming from, what that looks like, so long as 80% of the time you are eating whole foods. Is it that if you keep your scrolling to half an hour a day, 15 minutes one part of the day, 15 minutes another part of the day, you feel fine. Okay, you don't get sucked in too much. It doesn't like that works for you. You just have to find your balance, your equilibrium yourself, and then lean into whatever works for you. But it just frightens me how much as humans, and by the way, it's all in the name of capitalism, right? That's all it is. Everything they can convince us of that we have to measure, they can then sell us a product to measure. Okay. That's where all the fitness bands come from. That's where all the trackers come from. The smartwatches. Like, I have an Apple Watch sat in my drawer and I took it off maybe 18 months ago, haven't worn it since. I'm like, I don't need a fucking watch on my wrist that is not only measuring things that I know the levels I need to feel good, but is also interrupting my day all of the time. notifications. You think a phone's bad, right? Try having a fucking mini phone on your wrist, right? That's effectively what it is. So if you're someone that's always been like, I'd love a smartwatch, can't afford one, don't fucking do it. You don't need one. And I understand for some people, if they've got like a health condition, it's helpful to track. So they might have like a Whoop band or whatever it is where they track certain things. Do you know, if you need one for health reasons, knock yourself out. But the average Joe, the average person, does not need all of that shit. Okay? It's not needed. And if it's not like a physical device that you're being sold, it's an app that you're paying X amount of month for. It's MyFitnessPal, it's blah, 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 blah. There are so many tools now that if you really need to find the calorific intake of something, you can just fucking Google that shit that one time, make a note of it in a notebook somewhere, figure it out, right? And the thing is, I'm not saying that some of these things are like inherently bad, things like MyFitnessPal. For some people on a weight loss journey, if that's what they're looking to do, that might be a helpful app to start to understand how much they're putting in and out of their body, blah, 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 right? Again, if you're the average Joe person, you probably don't need to be tracking your food, hun. You don't need to be tracking your food. You could probably confidently navigate your world without having to scan it, take a photo of it, and make eating, which is a spiritual happening. You are literally fueling your little skin suit with life force energy coming from food to go and live your wonderful life. That is not something that you should be tracking. I actually challenge you, if you are someone that is currently tracking that shit, I would say do a little test, right? Where you spend a month maybe foregoing the tracking, but a month where you genuinely listen to how your body, even keep a little diary if you want to, after you've eaten that food, how do you feel? How does your brain feel? How does your body feel? So really understanding how that food makes you feel. But rather than spending the time scanning and tracking as you cook it, I want you to put on some good music, light a candle, maybe light some incense, baby, and make cooking a romantic affair with yourself. Like, make the cooking sexy as fuck. Make it smell the foods as you're cutting into them. Have a little nibble of something as you're chopping it up to put it in the pan. Have some nice music on, dance around your kitchen, make it a beautiful thing to be doing rather than this laborious thing that you have to do and have to track and have to blah, blah, blah. Like, I want you to romanticize that shit for me and let me know how you get on. Same with anything else. If you're walking, you want to walk X amount of steps per day because that is the amount of steps that you want to reach. Actually, how is that feeling in your body? How else, if actually you're walking that much a day and you're fucking hating it, what are you doing? Find another way to move your body that you love. Is there a sport that you could be playing? You know? Could you be swimming instead of walking? Like, find movement that you love. Life's too short to be dragging your ass through movement that you don't enjoy when there is such a plethora of movement available to you. And if you are someone that actually loves walking, don't worry about how many fucking steps. You could probably rough ball. It's 5 miles roughly. Okay, it's 10,000 steps. So that's the first thing. So go on a fat walk a couple of times a day, and again, rather than like constantly checking the step counter, have I done it yet? Enjoy the scenery. Spot some new birds. Take photos of pretty flowers. Okay, find romance in that journey rather than finding just it I probably sound quite passionate because I actually am about this. Because I've experienced it to the highest degree where I have paid for, yeah, every app, every gizmo to track and record, and none of it worked. None of it worked. What worked was coming home to myself and listening to myself and understanding that change is completely possible with love and with devotion and with self-trust and with listening to myself and not some external measure that I've been told I should have and that I need to get a product to be able to measure. Okay? So that's my thoughts on measuring. And we're at about 20 minutes, I think, on this. And I would probably say that's enough on this subject because My aim here is to have you realize if you are someone that is over measuring, why is that? And that's maybe like my final thought. What what is the control giving you? Why do you feel the need to confirm whether you've done a good job or not on that thing via measurement? And I'm not someone that's against like habit trackers. I fucking love like Atomic Habit, for example, because I do need a little bit of guidance in my life to get shit done sometimes. Nothing wrong with like a habit tracker if that is something that you enjoy doing, if it's bringing you joy. Lean in, okay? If you're like, yes, I want to walk roughly 5 miles a day, and every time I do, I'm going to give myself a fucking gold star. I actually genuinely bought gold stars one time to give myself a gold star. So if you're doing it to be able to be like, well done, you committed to a thing and you're doing the thing, well done. Happy days. If it feels good, okay? What I'm trying to say is if you're doing all of this stuff because you've been told you have to or you think you have to, you're under full obligation of your life. You are under no obligation to anyone else. It's your life. So if you don't like doing a thing and you're doing it every day and you're making sure that you do it every day because of how much you hate it, maybe try and find a new thing. Try and swap it out for something that you enjoy more or that is going to serve you better or give you the same result but through a different path. I think I'm in danger of sounding like I'm only saying do things that you enjoy. I'm not saying that you might not need a bit of grit sometimes to do something that challenges you, but ultimately leads to a result that you love. Like, do I always feel like working out? Hell no. Do I know that when I work out, I feel like I've taken crack? Yes. I've never taken crack, obvs, but what I mean is I'm like a Duracell bunny, right? I do a workout after I feel fucking amazing. So that's just my brain playing tricks on me, going, oh, uncomfortable. No, don't want to do that. Whereas actually, I now know, no, when I move my body, I feel good, but I do it in a way that I enjoy. I love lifting weights, love like resistance training, basically. Also, love, going for a bumble through nature, going for a swim, surfing. So actually doing things that brings me joy helps with that. But if you were like, oh yeah, you need to go and do half an hour on the Stairmaster 4 times a week, otherwise you're not moving your body enough. Fuck off. Absolutely not. Don't find that enjoyable. There are other ways I can move my body that will feel great. So, what I'm encouraging here is to check in on why you're potentially measuring everything, if you are. Are the things that you're measuring actually making you feel good, or are you just doing them because you've been told to do them and because ultimately, in being told to do them, someone can sell you something? Check in on that. And finally, how in touch are you with your inner world? How in touch are you with your inner guidance and your inner voice? Right? Is the food that you're eating making you feel good? Is how you spend your time making you feel good? Is how much you're using social media making you feel good? You know, just touching with yourself on the things that you're doing and whether or not they feel good for you. Okay, my honeys, that feels like quite a good place to end this. And that means that I can really swing my windows open wide and get this edited and out to you before the end of Friday. I still can't believe that. So funny. As always, if you've enjoyed this, I would really appreciate you leaving a comment, hitting that follow button, but most of all, please share it with a friend. I'm grassrootsing it over here, okay? I'm trying to get this out to as many people as possible. So any way that you can help me get some traction, I would be mucho, I was going to say mucho gracias. That's much thanks, right? Mucho, I don't know how to say thankful. So I'd be thankful, basically. And I'm sending you love. Thank you for being here, as always. I hope you got something from this episode. Mwah! Love you. Bye.